This is the sump area. Now, what a sump pit is, could be present on almost all basement homes, or the vast majority, but it's also present on some homes that do not have a basement. What this guy is in a modern home, there is a perimeter drain around the basement of this home. We are subterranean right now. And in a modern home, in order to prevent any of that water intrusion that older homes would have in their basements, I mean, that's actually a really popular business to have in this state, is bringing old basements to modern standards to prevent that water intrusion on an older basement. In a modern home, we've built it into the systems of the home. So what we've done is, on the exterior of the home, we've buried at the bottom of the basement walls a perimeter drain system that catches all the melting snow, rain, any water that makes its way into a basement window well. It gets caught in a piping system, if you will. So the water melts and runs down the outside of your basement walls, gets caught in this perimeter pipe. We call it a perimeter drain. That routes all that moisture down into this pit. This pit's quite deep, and if it's not too tight, let's see if there's any water in there. You might be able to see down in there. This one's a little bone dry, but you may see water down there. It's completely normal, guys. What you have to look out for if you have a sump pit is if that water starts to make its way out of this guy. That means the pump isn't actually pumping. So I kind of digressed there for just a moment. All of the water from the entire perimeter of the home makes its way here. There's an electric pump in the bottom of this that then pumps all that water up and out of the home. There's actually an ejection of this own. It's called a sump pit line, ejection line, that we'll look at on the exterior of the home as well. What this guy is something that should rarely run. In most cases, it's not impossible that you have a lot of groundwater, and this guy operates a lot. If you find that this pumps a lot, and we'll look outside, basically where the pipe comes out, if you're seeing a lot of erosion under that, you have a very active sump pit. That means you have a lot of groundwater. One thing that may not come on these is an alarm. I would put an outlet alarm here, which is just a little device that plugs in between here and the outlet that alarms if there's no power to it. If there's no power to that, let's say in a point of natural disaster or something of that nature, you may be out of power for an extended period of time, days, weeks, whatever that may be. Now we know there's no power to the pump because there's no power to the home. This would be where you'd want to hook up a generator to stop any groundwater from coming up inside the house. That's for those that have sump pits. Not a lot of people think about that. So if there's a power outage in the wintertime, there's a ton of snow melt in my window wells, all that water will make its way here. You gotta pump it out. So a smallest of generators will run this, and you can pump that out. Other than that, not a lot of maintenance on a sump. The main thing is check it periodically to make sure the water's not coming out. Check the power on it to make sure you have power to your sump pit pump that's down in there, and it will continue to operate for you. This is one of the things that you'll want to test every few years, or at least annually, is what I tell all my buyers. There's a lot of things I would do as a buyer to do some annual checks on my home. I would open this guy up, pour a bunch of water down it, and make sure it gets pumped out. If you're pouring water and it's covering up your pump and it's not pumping out, now you've understood that, oh man, there's something going on. There's either my outlet's bad, the pump could be bad. Now you can determine what the factor is of why this thing isn't working. But do it before you need it. Do it when you have power, do it when there's not an emergency. Okay, so we know that you have to maintain your air filters on your HVAC system, right? Air filters have to be changed constantly. This is something I would recommend doing at least annually. This guy right here is another component of the plumbing system. Now we've looked at the way the water feeds the home. We've looked at the expansion tank. These are all parts of the plumbing system. We've looked at the perimeter drain. and sump pit. Now let's look at the sewer line. This is what's known as a sewer cleanout. Now, on a modern home, we put these inside the home and outside the home. What this is let's say you're at work. One of your neighbors is walking by and they see water coming outside of your house. There's obviously a flood somewhere. Let's say that flood was caused by a drain obstruction. Someone flushed something that clogged your unit, and now water's backing up. This is an access point for the plumber to run a drain snake to get any obstructions free throughout the entirety of the house. The interior is going to be by far the best place to send a plumber. We stick these outside in case you are at work. A plumber could drain snake your system from your front yard or backyard, wherever it is. It's usually front yard because sewage flows from the street. So we usually have these in the front yard. They can run that drain snake from your front yard. You don't have to be home. We can save your house. But if you are home, this is definitely a better place to send a plumber than your front yard. Now these are not necessarily, they don't necessarily look like this in all homes because this is an unfinished area. But let's say this was an area that had drywall, walls, paint, flooring, was real pretty. We wouldn't leave it looking like this. Point of fact, we would only leave the cap sticking outside of the wall, and it doesn't look like this. It's usually just a flat disc to cover that. And there may be one screw in the middle of that disc. If you unscrew that, you'll see this behind that disc, and that is where your plumber would send his drain snake. Other than that, we'll look at a couple points outside, which would be a better place to run that drain snake. Also, there's a place outside where the city can turn your water on and off. Whereas when we looked earlier, that was what you would do as a homeowner. That's where you would kill the water if there's a flood. But if you're not home to kill that water from inside your house, we'll show you an area where the city or whichever municipality controls your water can shut it off for you as well.
Or if you're not paying your bill.
That is the one that I don't ever tell, but yeah, from lack of payment, that's usually when they get in there. So that's it on the interior of the sewer system. Any questions, guys?
So maybe more a remark. Sometimes these outlets are hidden, and I had somebody suggest to me one time to just put a night light in it.
That's great. Night lights are by far your best friend. I recommend night light on one of these outlets here is great because this outlet is just for your sump pump. It's its own circuit. The other area I would put a night light would be your garage, inside your garage somewhere. In garages on a modern home, the outlets inside the garage are tied into the outlets on the exterior of the home. So what do I mean by that? Let's say you're at work and the landscapers come. It's summertime, landscapers are doing work outside. They're usually your culprits that do this. They plug in high amperage, devices into your exterior outlets. It may trip a GFI, which is those little push buttons you see on the actual outlets. It says test on one, reset on another. It may trip that. Now, if they trip your exterior outlets, it's also going to trip your garage outlets inside your walls, but that also includes your opener that's in the ceiling. So if you're coming home, your landscapers tripped that GFI, you're gonna be hitting your button in your car and your garage door is not gonna be moving. You're gonna be freaking out, something serious is wrong. Man, my whole garage is dead. Completely normal. They may have tripped an outlet on the outside. We'll take a quick look on how to reset that as well, but a night light is your best friend. That's just an easy way to see, I got power. It's going right now.